Hello everyone. It's nice to see you all. If you're seeing this on the replay or you're going to join me now, I'm shooting on Instagram up here and Facebook down here. This is an experiment, but I'm just going to clear the space and clear my body because I have a lot to report to all of you about the trip we just took to participate in the event called Camp Disclosure. And I will say that it was a really, really interesting mission. And really, compared to what we've been really doing all year long, it was nice to get out and get out of our comfort zone, get out of our zone completely, because we've been living in Sedona this whole year, and go somewhere else and work with that place and work with the people who live around there and so on. And it was really enlightening. And I think that a lot of you are probably still at home. You're probably still a little bit subdued. Not all of you, but most of you. And if you'd like to hear the story about what we went through to go there and what we did and how we participated and who we were with and what we noticed and all of our observations, I just wanted to share that in my diary here, because I've always wanted to do videos like this, but after an event sometimes it takes so much and so much time to process, and it takes so much energy to actually get back into my own dream and my own reality, because for a week I was just in a shared dream in a way in another place that I had almost none of my normal level of sovereignty and power. So it was very interesting. It was like a dream. It was like a week-long dream, but I wanted to tell you about it. So let's start. Okay, so this Camp Disclosure event is an event that was organized by people that I hadn't met before, but they were in the community of people who had been to events like Dimensions of Disclosure or Eclipse of Disclosure, and they are people who are on the East Coast of the United States, so a lot of them don't get to go to the events that are on the West. And I'd been to these events, I had been helping in a way with these events, and in a way these events have been a very interesting part of my mission and as a person and as my growth. And I've met a lot of people through these events, but ironically I've noticed that I have a hard time bridging and maybe even talking to a lot of the people who know me through the internet, but they don't know me as a person. And then I have friends that I've met and have hung out with multiple times, and I was very lucky at this event to be housed in a cabin with me and my husband Jace, and our friends Matthew and Honora, and our friends Z and Brian, who are all of us are freshly newlyweds. And I'm very much on mission Earth, galactic ascension, all that. So we were all very in line and having a great time, and also we were grieving and purging a lot of pain and a lot of experiences. And I think that's beautiful, because amongst friends and amongst our peers, we tend to do this a lot. We grieve together, but with this unique circumstance of the quarantine and so on, it's been a little bit harder for us to do that together. And it was just a beautiful thing to be able to hold space for my dear friends who are really powerful healers, really powerful people in the world, and who want to give and who offer so very much support to the Great Awakening in a way. And I was happy to be there for them. But my purpose at this event was to be the children's camp counselor, like leader in a way. So actually inviting kids to these events is a brand new thing that most people, we haven't really done before at these events. I haven't seen it anyways. And it was really, really enlightening. It was really wonderful. Unfortunately, because of the brainwashing of the collective, there was a lot of pushback against this event and the gathering of people and peers and loved ones. And there was a lot of pushback, and then they brought political things into it, and they talked about QAnon, as well as the people in the community that we were going to be gathering in were concerned about people's affinity or the actual, just the term or the topic of QAnon. And honestly, I don't blame them for being concerned, because really, this is, if you're feeling concerned about something, you know, there's probably because there's not enough answers for you to feel comfortable. And with this phenomena, I've noticed that it's famous for not, in a way, it's famous for asking questions, but not so much providing answers. And that's, in a way, in my opinion, a way to remove themselves from creating karma for themselves as they ask questions. But they are also supplying now a lot more information. And this group is very like controversial, and all of the stuff that they talk about has only validated what people who've been researching before Q came out had been finding out on their own. So it's almost like it's a place where things are getting summarized and brought to a bigger group of people. But people were afraid that we were gathering to worship something Q related or to be domestic terrorists or something like that. And there was that underlying energy at this event that I noticed was a part of the reason why we were there. And to bring and also work with the purity of children was also really beautiful. And Jace was the host of the main stage, where all of the adults were getting their opportunity to speak and to present their own research and their findings and their opinions about disclosure and about growing into a more conscious person and being a better community member. In a way, if I have to summarize, that's really what people like to talk about at these things. And everyone has their own quirks and they have their own distortions and whatever, but we can be real with each other, and there's a lot of laughter and there's a lot of conversation that's stirred up at these things, and they're very beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, and to hold space and make that container available for people, even despite the circumstances, was really a blessing. And I got to work with the children, even though there was only 2 of them, and at one point 1 of them that I was ending up with, which is it's a different situation when it comes to something like that. It's not so much me facilitating a group learning experience and group experience amongst children. It's more so me babysitting for 8 hours. I had 2 8-hour days where we were having this program, and the first day, the first few hours was where I had the most participation. And then quickly the weather changed and plans changed and parents changed their minds and so on, and I all of a sudden was just with 1. And then the next day I only had 2, and these 2 boys who were around the same age, they just wanted to be. I didn't want to, and I forgot my backpack of stuff. So the first day we did workbooks, and I wanted to show you some of the stuff that these kids were able to conjure up out of their brains because it was so beautiful. We did an exercise like to get to know each other first, as an example. So here's my example. I'll expose myself because maybe showing other kids work is, I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna do that. So something like this. So we just ask questions again. So like, what is your name? What is your favorite shape? How old are you? Draw me an emotion that you're feeling right now. What's a funny word that you like to write? Or like, I don't even know what the other one was. Another number or some other question. And then we got more complex with it, and they started getting involved. And so I asked them then to basically close their eyes and now freehand draw something, and I will count down when it's time for them to end. So I switched them from like the left brain of more like answering questions and completing tasks, which were also helping us get to know each other. It was a social thing too, to something that was totally abstract and in the other side of the brain, and moving it to abstract drawing and like just flowing with the pen. And that also stirred up a lot of joy. It stirred up a lot of like good energy in the kids. And I wasn't just doing this with kids. I was literally also sitting with 3 of I was sitting with my husband, I was sitting with my friend Honora, and I was sitting with my friend Brian, and the 3 of us were all in our cabin together, and they came to help me out with the kids. And they were fascinated too, because who doesn't want to hang out with kids? Like, we never get to hang out with kids that much, especially all these little sweethearts that are, you know, in families of people who are really, really passionate about finding truths and finding their inner light and expressing themselves, and justice for humanity and consciousness. It's beautiful. So I was so excited to get to work with them and see what they were going to do. And so yeah, we did abstract, and then we switched into some role play, and then we allowed every child to pick what we were going to draw and try and draw. And this one child had brought a stuffed animal, so he became very much a model for all of us. So it was really nice to flow as well. And I do have like an art background, so I was more comfortable doing more art-based exercises, and also just like nature walks and so on. But like we drew so many beautiful things. Like at one point, the spider that we were all drawing this little stuffed spider that this child called Lucas. And I think there's a movie or a film or something that kids are watching that has this character. But he's like this fluffy little tarantula or something like that, adorable. And then all of a sudden we were drawing the Mona Lisa with Lucas as the main figurehead of this picture, and we just merged like all of this art and all this beauty, and it was just the first couple hours of being with these kids, and the adults were having fun too. Like, it was really, really nice to get to move and play with those things and not be so analytical or suspicious of each other or trying to be better than one another. Nobody's drawn. It wasn't a contest. And yeah, it was all males except for like my female friend Honora who came. I was mostly dealing with young boys or men during this event, which I find is very common with, I find it just who I end up hanging out with and spending time with are young men and just chatting, doing stuff, playing, making jokes. Like, here's a golden spider. Anyways, so we did all that, and then we did nature walks. I took pictures of all of the different bits of nature that we could find, and thankfully it's beautiful there. It's right by Asheville, North Carolina, on the east coast of the United States. It's a very magical, lush area. There's a lot of water soaked, like it's a porous, watery ground with lots of moss, and the air is more there's more in the air. I could feel my aura and my field, like almost like I could push my electrical charge and my chi through the air. It was like I could expand to an extent and be more sensitive out here than I normally can in this dry desert air that I live in right now. It's such a different place, and my skin was so sweet. But anyways, we took pictures of all this stuff. We interacted with lots of animals. We interacted with trees that were splitting, and all of the adults were also very excited about these trees on the property because there was an area where there were multiple trees where it was growing from a single stalk, and then it split into two really close to the bottom, which is it's called a twin tree. And it's a magical thing. It's beautiful. And the fact that there were so many surrounding this certain area, and people were doing pendulum work, even finding ley lines, and they were engaging with the magnetic lines and of the earth in this particular area. And we worked with the kids in these areas, and I wanted to see what they wanted to do, and they wanted to experiment, and they wanted to make squirrel traps with the acorns, and they wanted to smash sticks, and they wanted to throw rocks, and they wanted to, and they wanted to point out, like they wanted to help me find different flowers and different mushrooms. And it was really good to engage with all of the senses and all of nature. And we stomped through the woods, and we smashed stuff, and we threw things in the water, and then we nurtured, and we're very gentle. And I was feeling though that with these boys especially, there was this tendency to want to kill, which I was like, okay, this is pretty common for children to want to like kill bugs and small animals. And I honestly had to plead with them multiple times to ask them to please stop, because we were in these animals' homes. We were visitors, and so it wasn't polite. It wasn't really necessary, especially if you're going out of your way to hurt another being. So that was an opportunity as well, teaching opportunity. I don't know if that sunk in, but maybe it did, and I'm glad. I have to say what I had to say as well. And we all got our say. We all had our opinions. We didn't have too many scuffles. There was a bit of like male on male with the young boys, dominance sort of play, which I was aware of, and she had to make some comments about and be like, okay, let's not wrestle. Every time one of them would get any type personal of emotion of like rejection or like insult as well, they were like easily insulted. And so one would get an insult, and then all of a sudden you could see them like ball their little fists up and be like, okay, I'm gonna act, and I'm gonna do something to reciprocate how I feel. I'm gonna reflect my emotion on you with a physical domineering kind of behavior. And so that was very interesting, and that was kind of tricky again to like dance around, like, hey, let's talk this out instead. I know you want to. I know you have that sense, and you want to grab and you want to do something with that emotion and that energy. So that's why we were breaking twigs, and that's why we were throwing things instead of hurting each other. And so it was just interesting. And then the second day, all they wanted to do was play in the pool. And they played in the pool for hours. Like the whole day I sat by the pool watching them, and one of the kids definitely got a sunburn on his face. And I feel bad because now in retrospect I should have been like, yeah, I'll put some sunscreen on your face. But these are the things we learn. He was pleased. He didn't get out of the pool one time. Every kid survives a pool sunburn when they're 5 or 6 or 7 or however old. I don't even remember. I think one was like maybe 9 and the other one was 6, I think, or 7. They were in a good age range. It was very interesting, but they were so cute and they did a great job. But again, it did feel more like babysitting in this scenario a lot of the time, which is fine. But again, I also have a lot to say and a lot to participate in the adults of this community as well, of the disclosure community. I've been a part of it for quite some time. I've been steadily working on my blog and on my channels and so on, and I talk to so many of you all day. This is what I do as a full-time job, and I really care about what I talk about and what I study, and actually being scientific and actually bringing it and bridging in the spirituality, and also talking from a personal perspective instead of I would say preaching teachings of other beings and other places and other things, more so coming from my first person perspective and trying to be real with you guys and with myself. That's really the goal, is I do all of this to try and grow personally and also engage with conversation and grow in peer community as well, because I really want to continue growing and meeting and hanging out with a lot of you. And I know so many of you are so brilliant and amazing, and your inner child, like I also care about them very much, and also your blossomed adult self and what you're here to do and how you can be in the world and what you want to offer. I just want to help and be of support, and also offer what I have to you and to these groups and to conferences like this, which is my knowledge about the Schumann resonances, which is very in depth. It's been my particular niche of study, and I'm very proud of what I've done. I've made it into my own master's and doctorate dissertation and degree, and in a way, like, I've used myself as a study object of the Schumann resonance, and then as well as now thousands of people. All of my platforms have thousands of people watching all the things that I post, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm not going to just I'm just going to keep going. And it would be amazing if we could do a conference where the people and the connections that I've made through my own personal work can bridge and continue to merge into this other group that I physically meet up with quite often, who have disclosure on the mind, who want to ascend, who want to know about this. Most of them did mention the Schumann resonance at least once in their presentations. It was always a present thought, I've found now in the community, which is fabulous. And I just only want to feed that more and offer and blossom that idea and share how beautiful it actually is as a tool to engage and erupt your own intuitive abilities and your connection with the cosmic and the earthly realm. It's such a beautiful bridge, and it's a puzzle piece that is very, very important to, I think, understanding energy of our planet and understanding its effects on us. It's one of the most tangible pieces of evidence I have that is, I have constant feedback from my community, from you guys, and from communities now that are branching off the work that I do and are doing what I'm doing, but they're reaching even more people in their own circles. And they're taking my template and they're making it their own. And I'm so glad and I'm honored that anyone would ever do that. And I just honestly feel ready to stand in front of a group of people and talk more about this, because it's different to be one-on-one and actually share in a field with somebody who knows these things or has been studying these things and has all these particular questions and queries, and holding a lot of space for this knowledge to come to the surface, because there's so many things I want to know truths about. There's so many things that I have and so many questions I still have. And I observe so much all the time. It's like I can't even help it. It's just like so much information is going into my head. And I got to observe and work with so many people who are also speaking publicly about all this stuff, about important topics. And they're honestly, a lot of these people are really awesome. Like, I don't have any issue with them at all. I love being around people who care about this stuff and who want to chat and have their chit chats and their laughter, and I just like being amongst it. I love being amongst the people who are connecting on a real level that means something to them, that where their beliefs are merging and their experiences are connecting, and they're building off of each other. And these events are so beautiful for that. And I know personally that I'm going to have lots of opportunities because of the pattern I've seen so far, and my mission really is involved with bringing community together to do these group clearings and healings and advancements and schools and whatever it is that you want to call it, camp, whatever these life experience and these gatherings are, you want to call them, they're very, very important. And I only wish, and I only know, I guess I should say, that they're going to get better and they're going to get more clear, because we're getting more clear, because we go together, we see everybody's weirdness and their awesomeness, and then we take that home and we suss it out and we make more decisions and we connect with certain people differently. And it's such an essential part of this work, in a way, this investment that a lot of us are making with our whole life, to bring the truth and bring community and love back to the people, as we are so affected by the separation that's been going on, I would say. And although it was healthy, at least it's been a healthy amount of time, it wasn't too long, it wasn't too abnormal. I think the gatherings are going to increase in quantity, and they're going to increase in the amount of people, because again, this event was amazing. If they did it again the exact same way, like a cookie cutter, pretty much, it would be fabulous, but it would actually have the audience and the amount of participation that we were expecting. We were only, I think, 150 people ended up being there. It was a big property. It was spans across two resort-like almost properties, but more like simple, like communities. And there was a lake, and there was a lake house, like event center thing, and tons of room, tons of space. There's this natural amphitheater you can sit on. It was gorgeous, and so I would definitely go back and do that. But I would also like to speak, as much as I love being with the kids, and I would again do the kids thing and have more of them, because that was fabulous. I would also like to speak to the adults about the Schumann resonance and about the basically how you can align it. You can use it for so many applications of your own personal growth. And that's all I want to do, because I feel like there's confusion about the actual science about the Schumann resonance that I want to clear up, or maybe not clear up, but like offer my science. I shouldn't clear it up, because that, I mean, what do I really know? But I'm trying to know, and I'm trying to learn, and I have conversations about it all the time, all day, with lots of people. But it seems like it's still one of the biggest mysteries in my life, is like some clarity about this particular phenomena, which would be so important. The actual vibration of the earth and amplitude of energy entering and exiting from our planet is that affects our brain waves and our magnetic field, our heart field, our brain field, our gut field. Like, everything can be affected by these vibrations of this bigger system we're living on top of. Just like the cells in your body are being affected by the decisions you make with your brain and your own consciousness, but your little cell over here is going to be affected by it. That's kind of like what the Schumann resonance is. It's like the brain, in my opinion, of the planet, or at least a representation of some of the brainwave activity of the planet, because it doesn't have as much of a pulse like a heart does. It's more, it behaves more like a brain, at least from what I know about brainwave patterning, which I know a little bit about because I did get a psychology degree, so I have something in that field and that information, which again is very much like coddled and muddled, and but we're trying to find the truths. And I really want to talk to people about this. I'm really ready, and I also want to, again, I do talk to children about this too. Like, it's a possibility. Those kids I was with, they didn't want to talk about that stuff. You know, they wanted to play in the pool. They're 7 and 9, and there's a pool, and they haven't been in a pool all summer. They haven't played with other kids all summer. There's two there's two of them, just let them play in the pool. Like, that's the beauty of it, this whole thing. Like, you don't need to be constantly educating and stuffing things down people's throats. There was plenty of time for recreation and mingling amongst everyone, and it went so well. And my friends did amazing, despite, a lot of my friends having a lot of really intense personal things that they're going through. But it's incredible how people, especially when you're in a group like that, how the mood and the energy of us gathering together can really help us push through a lot, or not push through as much, but more like heal and break through a lot of stuff that has been stagnant in your own energy field. And that's another beautiful reason why these gatherings definitely have and will keep happening, in my opinion. And yeah, we were just, and I forgot one of the funnest parts was that also this event, our friends that I hadn't met before their wedding, although I was asked to be in her wedding, which was awesome, were Amber and Tyler, and they had a wedding at the event, and that was awesome. I was the maid of honor in this case, which was cool. We had to sit down and actually hang out with them the night before, or a couple days before, to be like, hi, okay, we actually do want to be in your wedding because we do physically know each other now. But it was so easy. It was seamless. Like, these people all your life. And that's how we knew it was okay. And the energy that their wedding actually brought to the event, and I would say to the timeline of like the world, which was kind of maybe a big statement, but it really felt like the divine masculine, divine feminine, love, engagement, unity ceremony, which was beautiful. And there was real people who were really embodying and representing those two roles. And there was also a child with them, which was also beautiful. So that's like, I was like Mary and Joseph and Jesus or something like that. It felt like a similar archetype where there was just this pure love intention and this celebration of two people who already had made a child together, already have proclaimed their love so many times publicly, but just wanted to have this moment where they could really just be and enjoy getting married, and in this beautiful place with an audience of people that they trusted, really. And I thought it was gorgeous, and the event just kind of smoothed out after that. There wasn't even anything else that really happened after that. There was supposed to be a closing ceremony, but it was just like what they did was so powerful. It was just like, and it was over, and everybody was relieved of their duty in a way. So it kind of felt cool. It felt like the whole weekend was secretly for this little wedding that needed to happen, and it just like set something off, and it was a beautiful thing. It was really fun. And we made everybody sign these little hearts as a keepsake for them, and it was beautiful. All the people coalescing, and I was noticing a lot of things as well on like other planes of existence. So like in the astral plane, when I was sleeping, there was a lot of talking, and there was a lot of things that were still getting sussed out, because I noticed that like there's almost not even enough time to have conversations with people in these groups. And so right as I'm laying down to bed, I can hear talking still amongst me and peers. Some of the people I didn't even get to talk to during the event physically, but we're still having a conversation, and it's still happening. But I think we got through most of it while we were there. And I also noticed there was some drama. There was some infiltrating energy, maybe I should say, is the best way I could say it. And this is how my friends talk about it too. I get a lot of the terms and stuff I use from socializing and hearing how people describe it. And I may not fully describe this situation, but just bear with me with the vocab that I choose to use sometimes. But what is this energy that comes in that infiltrates your feeling of safety? And I guess perhaps it is just a catalyst in a way to like remind us that we are really safe. Like, there is, even if you do perish in this life, that you'll be okay. And it's a reminder of that, but it's also a reminder that you have an amygdala and you have a fight or flight response, and that you're still human in a way. It's fascinating. But we had a few examples I'll tell you. One major one was, I think, the second night when most of us were still talking, I think around 11 p.m., maybe midnight. A lot of us are still up because we were from the West, so we were still awake. But there was the sound of, and a lot of people want to say it was gunshots, and it could be gunshots. but I think there was a little bit too much willingness maybe to jump to the conclusion that this was a gun or this was like an aggressive act. But everyone's basing it off of their own feeling, and I don't want to be judgmental. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just sharing how I felt, and I felt that it was almost a little more paranormal than usual, the sound. And I've been around guns, and I know what they sound like for the most part. You know, I don't know every single gun. I don't really care much for guns regularly, but I grew up in a place where people rurally blast guns sometimes. It's just normal. But yeah, this noise almost sounded like somebody was hitting, like boom, 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 boom against our house, and it had this like reverberation to it, which was very unique. And it was upsetting to a lot of people, and it was rough because people were in a good spirits, and then all of a sudden someone really close by to many of us who were in our cabin sleeping, there was also other properties and other people living there, so it could have been someone in their yard just blasting off a gun. But it was very I would say it didn't feel right. It didn't feel good. It didn't feel like it didn't feel the best. And that wasn't the only time that something like that happened. A few of the homes that we were in were actually haunted. In a way, there were ghost presences, there were spirits, there were people who were not quite in this realm walking around doing stuff in multiple of the homes. And this property has a history of religious camps as well, which was interesting, like boys and girls camps or something. There was like Jewish faith, and then there was the Catholics, and this place has a history as well. So to me, it kind of felt like we were in more beyond the veil, an in-between place where the ghosts could be more prevalent, and there was more life there and more memory there and energy that needed to be released and healed as well. The ghost situation kind of seemed to dull out after a couple days. I'm getting some questions on my feed down here. Pardon me, I'm just gonna look. Humanity. Yep. Are you located in Sedona? Yes, I am. Okay, nice. Sorry to interrupt. But yeah, what else happened? Okay, so we had the ghosts. We saw the spirits. That's not that unusual, but it was more palpable, like more human in a way. Like we'll see spirits and we'll be like, oh, that was fun. Like you see an orb and you're like, woo, cool. That's exciting. But then there's like hearing a voice in your ear, or someone literally had someone or something blowing on their face before they were going to bed. So there was a few more like ghosty experiences instead of like spirit. It was more earthly, a little bit more human with these things. And then with the portal, or the one area where the twin trees were, there was multiple attempts to contact a Sasquatch being or something of the like, basically. Specifically the Sasquatch, because many of our friends actually have many opportunities and contacts with the Sasquatch beings, and it's always such a fun conversation to hear more about how they're getting these contacts and what's going on. But some of the techniques are like, they find a spot like that where there is magic, there's like a vortex, there's obviously something going on. Another example might be like a fairy ring of mushrooms or something, or somewhere in the forest where you realize there's a circle of a certain kind of tree or something. And it's a very common magical place, a magical little part. And they offered basically, like, if there's a Sasquatch here, leave us a broken branch in the morning. And again, there was a broken branch right in the center of this area the next morning. So people were leaving out apples and so on, and gifts for whoever and whatever this sentient thing that left this branch. Could have been, Bob from the conference. I don't know, but it was cute. Like, you hear all these little stories about these contacts and experiences. There was a night watch as well. Not a lot going on in the sky, but in the water where there was tons of lily pads, there was a lot going on. And also the clouds were appearing in the night sky, like right before your eyes, and catching like rainbow light. That was very pretty. What are some of the other not so graceful moments? I feel like there was some energies of infiltration as well from observers who were human, maybe, but there was like an example outside of my bedroom window in the morning was an energy or electric company vehicle with a dude who was just kind of noodling around, didn't actually do anything in my opinion, and he drove away a few moments, and I was very upset because I was like, sometimes when you see stuff like that and your attention's brought to it, you're like, why is this guy going around the house with this piece of metal and then not coming back with it? Like, what is he even doing? We didn't call in any issues about our electrical. We should call the office and be like, hey, did you order this guy? There's moments like that where you're like, what is going on? And then there was deliberate internet shifts and changes of the Wi-Fi and routing the Wi-Fi on the property to try and get a live stream, and then all of a sudden there was this new tower on the building right next to us, and all of our Wi-Fi was being taken by the event, and everybody was funneling energy around in new ways and signals, and multiple times we heard about police coming and looking over the event, and more complaints, and people complaining to the state. And it's funny because I was kind of out of touch with all of these things. I heard about them secondhand, except for like seeing the guy and the ghosts and the Wi-Fi stuff. Really, it was pretty tame. Like, there are those moments where you're like, you can tell that you're in a group of people that's being monitored more than other groups of people. Like, if this was like a gathering of like a youth group of a church or something, probably would have way less attention and looking into these groups of people. But sometimes you can sense it. And I just have to share, like, there is these experiences that you have when you go around these groups of people who talk about these subjects, and there seems to be a lot more interest on what we are doing with our time and what we are saying, which is, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't really like the secret undercover way of things, of that realm, and the technology especially. It just doesn't feel right. But they tried. I think they were really trying to get the live stream up, and I don't know I think it worked out. I think they figured it out. But the event and the way it was, none of the speakers that I am aware of were paid for their work, or they were given housing and they were given flights. A lot of us were given flights and housing, which was a lot, and it is a lot. It was a lot to give, but otherwise there was no other kind of compensation because the numbers were so low, because everything got cut because of the fear of the people. And so it was very much an act of service to this group to host energy and volunteer and do that for everyone. And I really am very proud and honored to be a part of that group of people who did that. And there's a lot of people who did a lot of work and really went out of their way to be there and offer and hold space and create things. And it was a very admirable act of human awesomeness, was watching the people who came to this event to do this work. And I admire them for that, and I'm glad that I got to talk to at least quite a few people, and I got to catch up with some friends of mine that I just love, and I love spending time with them because I really feel like that they get me, and we can relate on a lot of things that we're going through. And there's a lot of psychic awareness and stuff that I have, and in these environments it also is increased a lot of the time when you're hanging out with other people who are also psychically practice, more aware, and are constantly getting and working on becoming more attuned. It's really powerful to be around them and listen and feel all the stuff that they're bringing to the table, and there's so much more going on. One thing that I did notice was there was spirit guide beings in a way that I could notice with people this time. And for this trip particularly, I had a guide come forward which was a unicorn. And this unicorn's come forward for me multiple times, and certain times in my life it's the unicorn that comes through. And it was beautiful. I had a unicorn little hat thingy that I wear with a horn and some ears, and the kids and the adults all loved it. And the unicorn to me represents, magic and freedom and purity in a way, and there's also this bravado and there's this confidence that comes with being a unicorn because they're awesome. But another being and another, there's like, so we talked about the unicorns now, and the Sasquatch beings are there as guides for people constantly. They also, follow us around. We're friends with them to a degree, but some people more so. And the Fae, like fairies and so on, people have a great connection with them. And then there's the ETs and the aliens as well, and people have connections with them. But one thing I really noticed at this event was the dragons. Were there with people, and people, there's like a couple ways people interpret their dragon. Some people say that everybody has a dragon, it's part of their soul that is their like driving mighty force, and it flies ahead of you and protects you and so on. But then I also feel like that there's there's another layer of dragon having, and it could be related to like a lineage or something. There's something, it's in the blood, or it's in the lineage, or it's in the soul history where a connection with a dragon is more prevalent. And I've met a lot of people who are very proud of that fact about themselves, and we enjoy great conversations about the dragons. And I feel dragon energy, but I don't have it, I feel like, as much. Like, it doesn't hang out with me as much as other energies, and that's fine. But when people talk about dragons, I feel them around. I know that they're there. I can tell, and people feel it so strongly. But there's also drama between the dragons, which is so interesting to me. And I felt very much at this event, and this might be out there for some people, but I'm just being honest. Psychically, I was feeling that people who have dragons or are working with the dragons consistently, there's plenty of different dragons out there. There's plenty of different like families of dragons and whatever is the impression I was getting. And that these families and these representatives who are human, who have this dragon connection, were coming together and meeting each other and talking to each other and forming trust again and forming new bonds. And that's just what I was feeling. And it wasn't a bad thing. But again, dragons are very proud, I would say. They're ancient, they're proud, they have a reason to be. Oh my gosh. And I guess they don't have a reason to be, but everybody can be proud to a certain degree. There is a degree where, thinking you're better than someone else is harmful to your social life. And I've noticed that is also a thing with this group of people sometimes. People really get into their ego sometimes, or they're unconfident about what they're representing still, and they're not quite fully embodied. And so there's this competitive nature between people, and I'm just observing. I also felt competitive. I also felt like I felt many times competitive at these events where it's like I really want to be doing something they're doing, or I want to do that, or I'm sad, or I can't believe I didn't think of this or whatever. But those things are pretty quick. They pass through my mind, and I just observe them for the most part, and I take that into consideration. I note it, but I don't make it my obsession. And I'm not trying to shoulder up to other people and get their opinions and see what they think about me or so on. It's more so I feel like a communal energy with people, and like I want to be near certain people and I want to be away from certain people, and I'm reading their minds and I'm telepathically communicating and body language, and it's just how I am. I just communicate and feel into things differently. But a lot of these people will operate the same way. But I was noticing that there was, again, some weird going-ons with like ancient families or bloodlines and past lives that were being dealt with at this event, which is pretty common. I've noticed that many times. I'm just observing, and I'm relaying this information because a lot of you guys haven't been to events like this. I know it because I haven't met you, and I want to. I've been talking about these events for years, and some of you do come out and say what's up, and we actually get to meet and grow our social group and grow our peer group, and learn that you can trust certain people, because it's when you meet people in person, there's a lot more trust in a way, because you can actually feel them. It's not just like a profile picture of something. You can feel them. You have to be present. You have to engage, and for the most part, you got to be polite. You got to be kind. And on the internet, it's a little different. And so it's nice to forcibly move us into more public physical gatherings. As much fun as the live stream is to watch, I'm pretty sure most of us are very tired of looking at our phones. I didn't have to look at my phone the whole time I was there for the most part, because I was actually talking to people I liked and doing things and activities that I liked, and cooking meals amongst my peers. It was nice, and that's definitely what I think a lot of us need more of, and that's the direction that I want to continue pushing the collective, because it's very healing, and everything is, so many things are just amplified. But I also know that when we do mush together like that, there is a lot of things that can come up and will get cleared and need to get cleared from your body and your system. Some things and blockages that you've had forever, or they've just all of a sudden getting really, really bad at this event or right after. Like you're severely depressed after you get home from an event because you realize that you've isolated yourself socially, and that heart experience you were having is gone again, and you're plummeting into depression. A lot of people experience that after these events. Another thing that people experience is, again, jealousy, and they experience competitiveness and hypercritical judgments of each other is another thing that I've noticed that naturally happens. And sometimes even a desire to separate and to push people even farther away from yourself or each other. It's fascinating, but a lot of times it's like a lot of these people are also healers and they're full-time doing this stuff, like myself, in their own way, and they don't get as much time to actually be observed and helped by their peers, and to be loved and to be nurtured and to be cared about, and to just talk freely about what's bothering you, and just let loose and stop trying to pretend like you have it all together, and stop trying to be something you're not. I feel like that has been a major shift that I've noticed, is that people really are becoming more raw and authentic, and it's because they do have to come to these events now. And if you're one way on screen and you're a whole other way in person, that's going to be awkward. Like, it's not something that you want to experience. And I genuinely, I'm trying. And in gatherings, I'll be honest, I'm more quiet. I'm more of an observer, but I also love to talk. I really do, and I really love to engage in conversation. And when it's a back and forth and somebody actually wants to hear what I have to say about something, and we laugh, and it's amazing, and that's so what I crave. But it is exhausting too. You gotta take your breaks, gotta chill, and there is underlying stuff that you can feel and notice from people who other people think are amazing. They're pure and they're amazing and whatever, and everybody's got stuff to work on. And I think it's a very humbling experience as well to go to these events. It's humbling for the people who realize that they can't hide, so they might as well just let loose and have fun, and their persona or whatever is shattered in that moment a lot of the time, and it's a liberating experience. I saw so many things, and I got to observe so many things. And one thing I did that was really, really helpful, and I would do again, is that I brought props to wear at our conversation starters, but also there for the children to be like, that's the lady who's doing the children's thing. Wearing unicorn ears, or little alien dooley boppies, or really cool sunglasses, or what else did I do? A couple other hats, random hats, sunglasses, cute, fun, engaging things and it with the inner child of the adults as well. It was happy. It was brought them happiness, and it was very nice to be there and offer that to everybody, and make light of some density that we can notice in people. We all come there with some density that needs to be cleared, and I think that's why we gather as well, because it's a really effective way to clear density in the body and of the opinions and the fears. You're not as afraid when you're in a group of people who believe the same thing as you, or at least very closely believe, for the most part, have core beliefs. You feel way safer. And those fears can finally take a break. And it's amazing to watch. Another thing I noticed at this event was a major crown chakra activation, and that's why I'm picking this color, I think, was right away I was getting pain and pressure in my crown, and it was just like, I get that when I'm noticing that the area is expanding and opening up. And I also had an activation with the chakra that's at the back of your head, like right at the base of your skull. It's called a Bindu chakra, I'm pretty sure is the right pronunciation of that. My friend Matthew was telling me about it because he loves working with meridians and how we're moving and opening and shifting through just shifting electrical meridians in our bodies and all that, and opening portals to new DNA, and it's fantastic. But he taught me about this, but he didn't touch me. He just was face to face, just chatting, telling me about it, and then all of a sudden the next day that area of my head was so sore, like somebody punched me there, and I was like, thanks. Thanks for the activation. Now my head hurts, and I'm gonna be, and it was something about past lives. You're able to connect to past lives more from this area, and I didn't have any crazy experiences about that, not more than usual. Like, I'll look at people and I'll be like, I know you, but it's such a normal experience now for me that it's like, like, we'll talk when we talk, and then we keep walking because we're all doing something. We're all already on a mission, helping and making this event a thing. But yes, crown chakra activation. A lot of people were talking about their heads and everything opening up, so that was really validating and also fabulous, because the crown chakra is really the last place that we need to open in a way on a collective level, because this is the cosmic consciousness. In a way, this is allowing us to realize that we are connected to everything. They're connected to the cosmos on the opposite side of the universe and back, and there's no distance either, in a way. And that's kind of what the crown chakra allows. It allows us to be more aware and get more information as well about the truths of the universe and so on. So it was good to see that being there amongst the people was helping that part of my body activate, but also I was realizing that people there were having that as well, and it was more of an empathic in a way situation. And then again with the past lives, which again most people will think and feel and meet people at these events and be like, I know you from a past life. I feel that so viscerally. It's amazing. Like, these events are so awesome. They can be exhausting, but really it's worth it. And it's like a dream. I went there for a week. I participated very intensely, and both of us did. We were up, the first people up and at 'em, and some of the last people to bed every night, cooking meals for our friends in between, and washing dishes and talking to them about what they're going through on a personal, really intense emotional level. It takes a lot, but I feel good. I feel nice. I definitely have had to deal with some adjustment, because going from here to there was awesome. Easy adjustment for me. I just soaked right in to the web of water around me. But here it was like I dried up again like a little raisin, and I was instantly like, again, irritated and angry. And it was just like, man, living at the lowest point of Sedona next to the water, that's where all of the like lower and heavier energies are kind of gathering here in this place where I live. And also the soil is dry, and there's also a lot of crystal and energetic energy. Like, there's a lot more energy there, and a lot more piezoelectric energy from pressure on the quartz and so on. Like, people have studied this. Sedona is a very famous place for this type of thing. But the energy here is very intense and dry, and it's irritating to me, and it's kind of funny. So in a way, it's catalyzing me to move through things faster. So everything that irritates me is coming to the surface way easier. I can't escape into the depths of the water in the air and my friends and what they're going through. I can't escape myself here in a way. It's like very personal and very like intense. And I tell people every time when they come to visit, like, they're like, I feel crazy, I'm so angry, I don't know what's wrong with me. They're here for a few days. It's like, this is what Sedona does to people. And it's a healing. It is healing to have all this stuff purge out, but on your vacation it's not exactly what you want to be going through. Is like your most intense anger all of a sudden blowing up in your family's face and stuff like that. Something about this place, I know why. There's a reason why we're here. We bring a lot more new people into this place to visit now because we live here, And the grid working is, I'm not a stranger to that either. I was at the waterfall called Looking Glass Waterfall in North Carolina, and singing a song that somebody made about Sedona, and that song was playing in my head over and over when I was working with the river and the waterfall and the crystals, which I also brought for you to look at. Ooh, this one has a quartz strip through it, and there's pyrite on it. This was a really cool piece I found right by the waterfall. Really awesome. There was this one, which I brought back. Can it focus? It's gonna focus. There you go. You see all of those pieces? This is actually more of a solid piece of like a yellowish quartzy looking thing, and here you go, up on here. You see that? It's more clear than it looks. I'd have to shine a light behind it. They had pieces like this. Is that gonna focus? Anyways, more quartz pieces with like some pink, and then I had some pieces where there's actually some like black striations in there, and then again there was actual pieces of gypsum that were like looking glasses, and I can't believe I didn't bring that one in here with me, because that was the funniest one to get, because it was like, you know, it was like a piece of glass. Like, this is my busted up iPhone case cover thing, but yeah, they're like little pieces of, in a way, of glass, like, but they're little gypsum pieces, and you can look right through them. They're so cool. So that was beautiful. That waterfall, would recommend. Beautiful spot. I had to pick used masks out of the water at the river, which was very frustrating to experience, and also wearing the mask through the airport, which some of you probably heard about. I was not happy about having to wear a mask that whole trip. I'm so ready for that to be over, for that to just melt away and stop. The whole mask thing is infuriating to me. And but on the way home, I like barely cared, because I was so happy. I was so fulfilled. I was so tired from my trip. I just wore the mask. I got a different one that was suffocating me less. My like one that like comes right up like when you're skiing, you wear those guys. A gaiter. I've been wearing those, but it was like right up against my face, like so tight, and I couldn't breathe, and I was like, I can't breathe, like, for real, I can't breathe, like, this is so dumb. And I like cried. I had a panic attack and everything. I was just like, I'm dying, fuck this plane. And we all have those moments, but I had to go through that to go to this beautiful experience, and it definitely didn't become the highlight of the whole event, so that was a relief as well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I have to tell you before my timer runs out on Instagram. You guys have a minute and 50 seconds to ask any questions right now, and I'll think. So you've got a minute 44, 144. Okay, any questions at all about the event? I would like to let you know that I am doing the monthly tarot readings for my patrons very soon. And so if you want to be in that group, you have to go to patreon.com/Ascension Diaries. You have to you'll find my page, scroll down, there'll be the $20 tarot reading option, or tier they call it, and it's a $20 recurring payment every month. And for that, it's going to help me like keep doing this work, keep doing this blog. As I told you, we went to this event, we did not get paid, we're not really in the position to just be like, but we did the work. We know it'll be fine. The payment's coming in. Everything's cool, obviously. And I love doing readings. This group is a heavy group, so it's a lot. But if you want to join that group, go to Patreon right now and sign up. It's only $20, and it helps me majorly. And it also, you'll get a gift in return every single month. I'll do a reading for you. I do a big group at once, and so I'll go through all the names, and then I'll put all your names next to a timestamp, so you know actually where in the video your thing is and your reading is. And it could be one card, and it could be 10. Like, it doesn't matter. It's really based off of what source consciousness, love, unity, whatever, all of the pureness of consciousness wants to deliver to you for this month, and that's my intention. So if you want that, that's an option. All right, I'm gonna look really quick at Okay, that's funny. Hey Lexus, just saw your post later.